Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another silly car build. My vehicle today, we've got Kit. The Pontiac Firebird Trans Am is going to be maxed out and see how it fares. I think this could go pretty well, actually. I think this could do relatively well. At this, we're going to have power, courtesy of the faithful NASCAR engine, and there's going to be plenty of it. The options for engines, pretty much all the V8s, the 5.7 litre, the 7 litre Hemi, but the NASCAR engine is by far the most powerful one, so hence why we're going to be using it. We'll be getting nearly 1,000 horsepower, which is a lot. There is a lot of power going to be available in this car. So of course we're going to be wanting as much downforce as we can. That's an interesting wing. We're going to be wanting as much downforce as we can possibly get. Normally kind of the American cars that I'll use the NASCAR engine with have the little sort of NASCAR style wing at the back. Wasn't expecting that wing from the Firebird, but there we go. I will take it. I hate that bonnet. I do not like it. We will go for that one though. It is a little bit lighter, so we will take that. The reason why I think this car might hold its own quite well is, of course, we're going to be having race tyres, and we're going to be having many of the horsepower. We're also going to be having some decent sized tyres. 285s on the front. They are pretty damn big tyres. Some of the bigger tyres that we have seen in this series. So that's good news for the front. The rear, not quite as large, but still pretty damn good going. 305s on the back. So we should have okay traction. It's not, I doubt we're going to be flat out everywhere around the lap, but we should be able to hold our own. We shouldn't be spinning the wheels constantly like we have had in a few cars. Fingers crossed, at least. Then we're going to be wanting the rest of these handling parts. Weight, I think it's probably going to be about in the good zone for this car. 3,000. It starts with about 3,500 pounds ish. With weight reduction, I'm hoping to get it down to about 2,800, which means power to weight ratio will be good, and we will hopefully be relatively stable. Car becomes too light, so you can often get quite a twitchy thing to drive. So I'm hoping that this will come out just about right for weight. Of course, too heavy, you're going to lack the acceleration. Yes, we're definitely wanting anti-roll bars. We're definitely going to be wanting a roll cage, anything to help with the handling of the car. Indeed, roll cage is of course going to add some weight onto the vehicle, but the weight reduction is going to get us down to 2,944 pounds. A little heavier than I was kind of hoping. Still, though, it's roughly in that good zone for ridiculously powerful cars. PI is not massively high on this vehicle. We're only going to be looking at 827. It's still higher than the Lancia, with 994 horsepower, almost 800 foot-pounds of torque. I think this stands a chance of going quickly. Will it be enough to beat the Lancia? I don't know. But I think it certainly stands a chance of going relatively fast. So it is time for the Pontiac to be tested out at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, where it is going to get 6 laps to go as fast as possible. The current target time is a 49.8, set by the Lancia Beta Race Car. Will this Firebird be enough to challenge it? I don't know about that, but I reckon this could go pretty damn well. As you would imagine, with this much power in the rain, not particularly hard to spin the rear wheels. Visibility may be a little bit of a problem. Just a little bit through turn 1 there. That's about the worst corner imaginable for trying to see things, and then I got a wheel on the curb on the outside. The curbs at Brands Hatch are so vicious, especially in the wet with high-powered cars. That I pushed it a little too hard on turn 2 as well. Okay, maybe just reel it back in a little bit. The curbs are very, very vicious on the outside of that turn 1. So easy to have cars bounced and turned around if you aren't being careful. Oh, I definitely felt a wheel on the grass as well. Okay, I've been playing it quite risky on this this first lap. Ooh, we've got a little bit of a slide across the road going on there. Right, how are we doing for power delivery out of this final quarter? Ooh, full throttle, almost. This has got some really good traction. I'm impressed. Very, very good traction. Decent straight line speed as well. 155 miles an hour. Not quite as fast as the BMW or the 250 LM, but it's pretty damn good going. Let's face it, I mean, this is almost 200 horsepower down on the BMW, and it's only 5 miles an hour down. So the traction out of that final turn is pretty good. I think this is around the same. I can't remember the weight of the BMW. I think it's around the same-ish weight. I like this car. This is very controlled. I mean, I had it in first gear and I wasn't really fearing for my life when I went to put the power down. Again, we've got third gear with flat out with only a very, very minor wiggle. Nothing crazy is going on with this car, certainly. Admittedly, I think it is perhaps helped slightly by long gear ratios in this. It's definitely got longer ratios than we have seen from some cars. I mean, that second gear, okay, we did a little, it's kind of that little kink that you don't think about in normal cars, but in these it is terrifyingly scary. A 51.5 on its first flying lap for the Firebird. It's quick, but this feels a hell of a lot nicer to drive. A hell of a lot nicer to drive than the BMW, but that's still 0.6 of a second down on the 1M, so I don't know, can we find some more time in the Firebird? It's oh no, that's going to end badly. No, this is not. Somehow I survived all of that. Not sure how, but there we go. Again, second gear is still a little bit of a wheel spin gear, but to third gear it just goes. To change up into third around here, it finds grip and it's off, which I'm really, really liking this car. This is a really very, very good car to drive around here. I've got to try and get on the power out of this final corner. Maybe a short shift up into third will do the trick. It's still just arcing slightly too much of the rear wheels. 51.5, fractionally quicker. If we had 3.45s on the rear of this car, I think it could be immense. It's so close to being flat out around that final corner onto the straight, but the back end just wants to break loose, so you've got to wait that little bit longer to get on the power. I'm wondering if perhaps it's a better idea just to leave it in second. Don't go down into first gear. You can get away. It's not like if you put it in first gear you're going to spin the wheels and have a huge crash, but perhaps we are better just leaving it in second for these corners. I'll give it a try on this next lap. Remarkably consistent so far on its lap times. Right, keep it in second around here and wait, and now we can go up into third and try. It's so close. It is so close to being so incredibly fast out of that corner, but I can't quite carry the speed. Not the same speed that you could with a Lancia or with the GT40. Going to run way down turn one ever so slightly, but still, you know, that's boosting it in second out of that first corner, and there's grip all the way up the hill and so on, which is, yeah, one of the very few cars that's had this much traction, this much grip, and considering, you know, it's got 1,000 horsepower in it. Not the largest of rear tyres, very, very large, but not the largest that we've seen. It's doing very, very well around here. Got a wheel up, a wheel on the grass. I just felt the bounce as it's, yeah. Okay, that was my bad on that one there. One wheel on the grass is not going to help in the braking zone. So aside from a small mistake from me on the fifth lap, it's been incredibly consistent lap time wise. We are going to get one more chance. Trying to get more power down. It's not going to work through there. One more chance. Can I go any quicker with the Pontiac as we come down turn one? I tried a slightly different line. Not sure that that's particularly worked. Bounce the curbs both on the inside and then on the outside. Oh, try and gather it all up. We'll go for a late apex on this corner. Sure, that'll work. Oh, again, I'm putting it down into first, just kind of instinctively now. Doing that, honestly, it doesn't seem to make a huge amount of difference. It's still got some wheel spin going on through those couple of gears. Third gear is where we can really go. We've found some time, and I'm amazed by that, considering that it was a big bounce across the curb down through turn one. This is where it's all going to come down to now. Can we get the power down out of this last corner? Second gear, we're going up into third now. It's controlled. Now we can floor it. We're around the corner, across the line. It is quicker. It's a 51.3, but it's not as quick as it felt, in all honesty. I really like this car. I'm thoroughly impressed with the Firebird Trans Am. That is a really very, very controlled car, with the exception of one mistake with me putting the wheels on the grass. I think pretty much all of those laps were within about half a second. This is a 1,000 horsepower car in the pouring rain. Remarkably consistent, this vehicle. One of the easiest cars I've had to drive. The traction, I mean, yeah, lower gears it will spin the wheels up, but the traction is very, very good. We don't have as larger tyres as the GT40. We've got more power than the GT40, yet it still does very, very well on the traction. Yes, slightly helped by the longer gear ratios. Perhaps the brakes aren't the best, certainly not the worst though, that we've had. It does still get stopped pretty well. However, the time, well, it goes into 6th place. It's slower than the Subaru Bat, it's slower than the BMW 1M, and this feels so much better to drive than the 1M. Okay, the 250LM's stupidly fast accelerating, and the GT40 has a lot of grip. So perhaps not too surprising to see it beaten by them, but this feels much nicer than that 1M. So much nicer to drive. I'd much rather race this car than the 1M. But somehow, despite the mile of understeer, that 1M is surprisingly quick. Yeah, I do like it though. It does beat a whole bunch of vehicles. It's quicker than the Willys Jeep, the Daytona, and the Mercedes C63 and so on. But yeah, slightly peculiar. Lovely car to drive, considering the conditions. But yeah, not quite as quick as I'd hoped. But anyway, it's now time to find out how quickly it'll go in a straight line. So that of course means taking the Firebird to Le Mans. Now, while we do have plenty of power, it isn't quite as powerful as the likes of the 250LM or the BMW 1M with that monstrous V12. So I don't quite expect this to get, you know, into the 260 mile an hour mark, but it is pretty damn good. So, you know, for power wise, so thinking we could get 240, actually a little bit better than I was perhaps expecting from the car. Yeah, we could see this go, you know, around 4th or 5th in the fastest cars. 246. That's, yeah, I'm quite impressed with the Firebird. The gear ratio you can see from standard are very, very long. 246.8. That seems pretty reasonable. I don't think we can probably get much more. If we go back this way, 200... Yeah, okay, so that's going down. I suspect if we extend it, we're never actually going to be able to get up to that kind of... yeah, it's... about the 246 mark is what we're going to do. I think I'm going to go for the slightly shorter gear ratio option because... Oh, 246.9. I doubt we're quite going to get there because the straight, while, you know, the longest straight that I can use in Forza is not unlimited, and we have been seeing quite a few cars now have been just simply running out of straight. So I don't want to go for too stupidly long gear ratios. We want to get as high as we can, as quickly as we can down here. The handling for this section towards the straight I expect to be pretty damn good. The brakes are not quite as... The brakes are about the only thing that slightly let this car down. They're not bad brakes, they just don't quite get it stopped as quickly as we have seen from some other vehicles, and the bonnet is a little bit of a pain. As much as I want to just save the weight and so on, the lack of visibility is a little bit of a pain in the arse from this one, but there we go. And this is the better of the two bonnets as well for visibility wise. The kink at the end of the straight is always a concern. This bit here is a good test of the car. How does it fare over these bumps? Yeah, that's very good. That is really very, very good for the Firebird. It was just nothing. I was flat out across there. It doesn't care. Pulls all the way up to 200 miles an hour. No problem as we come onto the straight. And we're going to be changing up into 6th gear at 222 miles an hour. Yeah, not very often the cars do that. But there we go. Now up to 234 miles an hour. Can we get, we should get 240. It's still just about pulling. We are probably about reaching its aero limit now, though. 241, 42. I could do another 3-ish miles an hour. 243. Any more? 244, perhaps? There we go. 244 miles an hour from the Firebird. The bumps were non-existent. The car is easily flat out around the turn. Still at 240 miles an hour. Considering all the issues we've had with cars getting airborne across those bumps and, you know, flying wildly out of control. Oh, please stop. Hey, look at that. Yeah, considering all the issues. I mean, the BMW had massive issues with jumping through the air. The bumps were just non-existent in the Firebird. It's, this is a really good car. This is a really very good car. One of the most controllable, if not the most controllable by far. One of the easier cars to drive here. You know, it can take that speed with, you know, no real problem down the straight, fly across the bumps. Well, the bumps didn't even really exist in this car. And around Brands Hatch, very, very easy to drive this car quickly. It was incredibly consistent, apart from one small mistake from me. This Firebird is really, really an impressive vehicle. The speed, well, that's enough to see it go into 5th place. It is a mile an hour down on the Maserati Birdcage. It's a mile an hour quicker than the Dodge Daytona and the Ford GT40. It's a very, very crowded area of the table, that 240 mile an hour plus mark. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of my favourite city car builds that I've done. Lovely car to drive. I was expecting it a little quicker around the track. Perhaps it's much easier to drive. I think maybe the brakes a little bit let it down, but yeah, a really, really rather good car, the Firebird. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.